The business review is just the means to convey the success planning. Success planning requires a bit of time ahead of that meeting, right? So success planning is about doing the research on your customer, doing the research on the industry of your customer.
Hello, my customer success friends. Violaine Yziquel here for CSM Practice, the customer success strategy consulting firm. Today, I have Violaine Yziquel, Senior Manager of Customer Success at Slack. And I'm super excited to have you here, Violaine.
Thanks, Erit. I'm very excited to be here as well with you.
You're such a great role model for so many customer success professionals. You're so active in the community. In fact, you're one of the co-founders of the customer success community in Europe.
Yeah, Customer Success Network has been created like 3 years ago or so. I'm now the CEO of Customer Success Network, which is a safe place for CS practitioners to come and learn and teach and share. And like our goal anyway is to make sure we can also help elevate the profession a bit more, because it's still a very early stage profession. So yeah, very proud to be part of that adventure as well.
Before we start, I'd like to remind everyone, subscribe to our YouTube channel for all the great videos that we produce on customer success.
I brought you here because we wanted to talk about how do you help your team and provide the guidelines on how to do success plans with customers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I was quite excited you brought that up as well, because I think joint success planning is still a burning topic within the community. Even if it sounds like it's very simple, like not rocket science, it's just a plan that you co-create with customers, right? It sounds like it's a big of a change for the teams, for the customers, for the account team, and for a whole business as well. And everything around change management, everything around bringing everyone behind you as well to make that change happen. So yes, that's a burning topic.
And when you say everyone, Slack has not so much of a unique proposition, or situation. It's actually having to have customer success managers work with other team members in the organization to participate in the process of success plans and incorporate those in the customer business reviews. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's correct. So I joined Slack only like 4 months ago, right? And I'm still very impressed by the level of collaboration that I can see amongst the account teams. So what we call go-to-market teams are basically the customer success manager, the account executive, solution engineer. You can also have the BDR resource, you can have marketing, exec sponsors, etc. So all of those people are here as part of the go-to-market team to make sure we have a single strategy to go and talk to a customer and make sure we can grow that customer. That's the ideal scenario, obviously, because you can also be aware we need to mitigate a risk. But still, that motion is quite impressive at Slack. And I think the level of collaboration is still very, very high. And that's why when we go to a customer meeting, we prepare all together.
Let's break that down a little bit. Who is the person or what team is in charge of actually scheduling a business review with the client? Is it the sales team? And if so, do they invite the customer success manager into that?
Yeah, so everyone is like either informed or contributing to a customer meeting. So what we call business reviews can be any type of meaningful conversation you're having with a customer, whether it's an operational check-in, whether it's a business review with an executive, whenever you can actually position the strategy you want to have with them, wherever you want to share progress and make sure you unblock any obstacles you might have, right? So whether or not it's the AE driving that or the CSM driving that, the rest of the team will be aware. The power of Slack is that obviously we have account team channels where we have all of this information being shared. So anything you need to find in terms of history is going to be there. Anything you need to be informed of is going to be in there. So in a way, knowledge is shared and you are invited as a CSM, as an AE, as an AC, as a BDR, any person in the go-to-market team, if you have value to bring to the meeting as well, which is quite important to note.
So the meeting has been scheduled. What is the customer success manager's role in that meeting? And I'm assuming, has something to do with how you're actually creating success plans.
Yeah, absolutely. So because now we're trying to shift towards being, let's say, a standard customer success manager to someone more of a strategic partner with a customer. So we're trying to propose or make recommendations when we come to the table with a customer, which is very, very important to me. And when it comes to a customer meeting, so it's really about that dynamics within the team and what's the angle of the conversation and the outcome you want to get out of the meeting. right? I think it's between like the AE and the CSM, they're going to define, okay, who's the best place to drive the conversations? The other one is going to contribute when necessary, but then there's an actual like effort to understand who's going to be the main driver.
The meeting has been done. How is the business reviews leveraged to create success plans, and what's the synergy between these two processes?
Yeah, so they're both very much interlocked. Obviously, I would say the business review is just the means to convey the success planning, right? Success planning requires a bit of time ahead of that meeting, right? So success planning is about doing the research on your customer, doing the research on the industry of your customer, right? And it's about making sure you understand that and then connect with the initiatives you can do within your solution or your product. In here, it's Slack, obviously, but with any other solution, you can do the same. How does your solution contribute to those objectives, right? What are the success metrics around that? Again, very much basic plan in a way. And once you have this, you have a better expertise, better credibility. And when you come prepared to a customer meeting as well, then the meeting is also more interesting, right? Those things are very important as well in terms of excitement for the account team. It's more interesting to prepare. Conversations are more interesting with the customer, and you have outcomes that are much more insightful and relevant to follow up afterwards.
And this is fairly new thing for Slack. What happened like a few months ago before you joined? How did they approach success plans? Did they do this type of due diligence? I mean, what changed?
It was already starting when I joined, obviously. So I know in the US, they were started to have like success plan. And I think everyone had heard about this buzzword anyway, because again, it's very in the industry. But again, there was more around like the account strategy and prioritizing portfolios. But in terms of sitting down, actually doing the research, actually linking the objectives with how Slack could contribute, there was still a gap. So I think it was more in terms of methodology, in terms of aligning with what the global enablement team could do and deliver, aligning with the sales org as well. And it took a bit of time, right? So I guess I arrived at the right time as well to just, join that machinery and make sure we could do that as well in EMEA with the broader team, which is great. The path to becoming a strategic partner was known and everyone was aware we had to get there. So I didn't start things, like, let's be honest, right? But I've been hired as well for that reason, amongst others, yes.
To propel the change. Did you get to anything like that you thought, well, I have to do this in terms of making this process change successful?
The funny thing is that at Box, obviously, was a big thing when I was leading the high touch team over there, where I wanted to have much more strategic conversations with customer. I wanted the team to be much more prepared, do the research again, because I wanted them to build their own expertise, not just to do like a great job at Box, but also because of them creating their own like experience and background and then become more bankable, right? It's all interlocked in a way.
How did you make sure that the changes and the proposals that you made to create a better process were actually sticking with this team? I mean, Slack is a big organization. First of all, how did you make the change within the CSMs? Did you provide training, forms?
Yeah. So let's be honest as well. I think it's not yet done, right? To me, that type of change is a 12 to 18 months journey. So it takes a bit of time. I'm turning into a parrot these days because I'm just repeating again and again the same things in the coaching sessions, in like providing feedback on some of the joint success plans that are being shared with me. And again, I'm just talking about EMEA, and I know the managers on the US side of things are doing the same thing because there's an overall understanding that we have to get there. So we have to repeat again and again. So coaching is very important. I think there's some mental blockages in terms of, wow, I need to sit down for a couple of hours, do the research, actually think through that instead of going into the weeds, do the day-to-day, respond to a customer, right? So I think that mental blockage is very, very hard to overcome. But a few things that can help is having some people who have done it, and you have a real life example of a joint success plan you can share with the rest of the team. That's super, super powerful. Something that I want to put in place as well is pairing. So having people by two, just providing feedback. So peer-to-peer feedback. I think it's good. And the thing that I started actually a couple of weeks ago is in the team meeting, we have one person volunteering. Well, I mean, I'm volunteering that person to just share the joint success plan that he or she has made so that the rest of the team can provide feedback, but also help, just find the right initiative, the right success metric, everything that is missing and that the person presenting didn't think of, right? That is super, super powerful.
For anyone that's watching and is looking to implement a due diligence process and a research before meeting with clients for QBRs or even doing success plans, what are the type of questions each of their CSMs should be asking about their larger accounts before they walk into a meeting with a client?
Again, I think when you say the word research, you're like, oh, I'm going to spend like hours and days and months trying to do a research, understand everything about the customer business. And I'm like, no, like, I think in the end, it's not the right thing to do. It's about spending enough time to go through some of the very basic websites, some annual reports, some news on Google. So any other like things that you have, like Discovery.org, that type of tools that can be very handy as well, where you just like gather information and then make the most out of it, understanding like, okay, what are the key things they are very, very aggressive about? Like in like the next 3 to 5 years, what are the things they're focusing on, right? It can take maybe 1 hour to do that, because potentially if you have 50 accounts in your portfolio, I'm looking of like low touch type of portfolios or mid-sized companies, etc. in market, then potentially you have many accounts. You cannot spend like a day doing a research for one account. So if you park the time saying, I have an hour, I'm going to go find some pieces, etc., you can come up with those objectives very quickly. And if I look at the industry side of things, same. So when I was at Box, I was working with someone in an enablement team, and we've been defining, like, we've been using actually a framework, super powerful, called PESTLE. So P for political, E for economical, S social, I think T is technological, L legal, and E environmental. So those letters, for each of them, try to get a couple of bullet points so that you can gain expertise. Very simple, one pager. You can share with other people who have the same industry in their portfolio as well. Boom, done, right? You don't need to do like many more like that, right? I'm not expecting you to be like a huge fintech or finserv or life sciences expert right now. Yeah. But I want you to have the awareness and to be able to talk about that in a meeting.
Okay, so that's on the industry and the global environment, and you're looking at the company as a whole by looking if they're a public company, if they're 10K, if not, maybe news, look at the website.
Private, public, exactly, that type of things. Yeah.
And then do you do another layer? Because we talked about the environment, the industry, the company.
Yeah. So industry, then company. And when you are at the company level and you've managed to identify the objectives, the good thing to think of is, all right, how can my solution differentiate from others and respond to these objectives? And potentially you figure out that, okay, they have 5 objectives in the next 5 years, but actually my solution can help to achieve 3 of them. And it's fine. Yeah, enough work to do with 3 objectives, right?
And at this point, the customer success manager is still guessing what those are based on the information they're seeing online.
Absolutely.
At what point are they validating it, either with other internal resources or some customer stakeholders before the meeting?
So it's either, if you don't have the chance to talk to some exec people, for example, at your customers, any chance when you meet them, any chance is good to present that, right? And say, okay, I've done some research on your company, on your industry. Those are the ones that I could see are like critical to your business. Is that correct? Is it still the case? Okay, when you say that, what does it mean exactly? Can you be more specific on that? Etc., etc. And then you dive into a bit more detailed questions, but at least you come with recommendations. You come with things that they might not even have imagined, all right, before the meeting. And I think just back to this type of onion stuff, right? So you have the industry and then the company. And then you have everything around stakeholder mapping. That is super important as well, because you can have the most beautiful document. If you don't have anyone to talk to, then doesn't mean anything, right? So you have that little stakeholder map that is quite important with powers, interests, whatever you want to do your stakeholder map. And then the role of the person you're going to talk to, right? So you go really, as you said, like from top to bottom, or like high level to low level in a way. That's the onion thing that I could remember from the Challenger framework, actually.
Awesome. Okay, so then they take all this information, and before they meet with the client, how do they structure the recommendation for each objective or client objective that they have outlined based on their research?
I've been using like a Google slide type of format or slide format with the teams, that at least we have a template. But again, you want to use Asana, Quip, Boxnote, like whatever thing you want to use, whatever, as long as the customer can potentially contribute and edit. That would be like, ooh, a dream. Not sure it's going to happen at once, but that's the goal, right? You need to share. It's a co-created type of document, right? So that would be ideal. Now, if I look at like the structure itself, so you would have something around, okay, those objectives that you've identified, you need to confirm that with the exec sponsor or any stakeholder that has the right level of interest or decision making. And then for each of those objectives, you can break that down in terms of initiatives. And then for each initiative, lower level type of steps. For each of them, you would have an owner, due date, status. Very simple. Again, a project plan, right? Yeah. The reason why I insist on having an owner is because of the accountability. When someone is saying his name or her name on a slide or on a document, well, you feel like you have to do something, right? So it works a lot.
This was tremendous. I think so many learnings and unpacking of success plans at the highest level possible. I want to thank you for sharing all of that with the community, because I think a lot of folks here that are listening and looking to improve and optimize their success plans, as well as QBRs and how to work with the sales team on creating value for customers, can learn a lot from what you've shared today.
Thanks, Iris. Thank you very much. I hope it helps. Yes. And I'm more than happy to share like a template for a joint success plan as well. I think it's something, do not need to reinvent the wheel. Like it's very basic, but I can still share. Yeah,
absolutely, guys. So look at the comments below to download a success plan templates from Vio. Thanks for sharing, Violaine. Hey guys, I'll see you at the next video.